and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I've just eaten 2 of the crunchiest things and I feel like there's remainders. I've just had 2 pickled onions in balsamic vinegar. They're from Marks and Spencer's, they're the best ones. They're so crisp. We got some Sainsbury's ones and they're a bit soft and I just don't like the texture. It feels like eyeballs, but these crisp ones, they do not feel like eyeballs. And then I followed that up with a double radish chaser where I just had 2 radishes. So I've been snacking, I was sounding like a rabbit the way I was eating those. Anyway, speaking of rabbits, that's a great link. I'm here today to show you my spring TBR. Do you remember the days when I used to do a monthly TBR? And I never stuck to them, ever. And it almost became a bit like sort of homework. So I'm very much into the sort of seasonal TBR as a sort of having a little look and will I read some of these and which of these should I read next, but it not being completely strict. So yeah, and we've got fiction, we've got non-fiction, we've got a reading sort of project that I'd like to get done, we've got poetry, we've got everything. Shall we start with, what's the best way to start with? Let's start with the reading project. So, you may well have seen me 10 goals for 10 months video. If not, I'll link it down below. And in there I said I wanted to read a series of books. And I mentioned a few series of books. And then I thought, I'm going to pick a series of books to read in spring. And I looked at the series of books and thought, this is the month, this is the season for Anne of Green Gables. And I had sort of considered doing Anne of Green Mables, where I read the Anne of Green Gables series in completion, although I think there might be more than this, but this is the series I have, in May. Somebody mentioned doing L.M. Montgomery, because then I can read other books by L.M. Montgomery. Which maybe feels like a better idea because I'm very keen to read The Blue Castle. And also, I feel like for Patreon Book Club in May, I think we might already have read Anne of Green Gables twice in Patreon Book Club. Or I don't know how up for people would be reading it again. So maybe The Blue Castle would be a good time to do it. I can just hear Daphne meowing. What's she doing, David? She's just meowing. She's a cutie girl. So yeah, so in spring, May probably, I really would like to read the whole series of Anne of Green Gables. The last few times I've read Anne of Green Gables, because I read it yearly, I don't think I read it last year, I read it a lot. I've listened to the audio of it, which is narrated by Rachel McAdams, which is lovely. So I think I would probably start by listening to the audio of the first one, then moving on to it, and I think I've got them in order here. Then moving on to Anne of Avonlea, then Anne of the Island, then Anne of Ingleside, then Anne's House of Dreams, and then my favourite title, Anne of Windy Poplars. So yeah, so that is that's the sort of like project that will go on. That would be really nice if I could do that. I've been wanting to do that for a really, really long time. Pop those back in there. Then, one that hasn't quite made it to the front yet because there's not enough room is this book that David bought me for Christmas. This is The House of Dudley by Joanne Paul. Every year for Christmas, I asked David to go into a bookshop and pick a book that he thinks I would like. And last year he picked this, which is very exciting because this had been on my wish list for a long time. So, it says here, was the House of Dudley out to steal the throne? This was the question on the mind of Elizabeth I's courtiers when a forbidden book accused generations of the Dudley family of poisonings, plottings, murders, treason, incitement and other evil stratagems. For decades, the Dudleys had been close to the throne, rising from nobodies to the land's highest offices. Under Henry's 7th and 8th, Henry the 7th and Henry the 8th, Edward the 6th, Mary the 1st, and finally Elizabeth, they risked execution and imprisonment as they audaciously stole, murdered and swindled in the name of the monarch. But were they loyally protecting the crown, or did they secretly covet it for themselves? So, I am confused as to whether this is fiction or non-fiction. Because obviously these are proper people, real people. Starts with, we love to see it, family trees, and then throughout it sort of has pictures and things. So I guess I will find out. Oh wow, this is, so it looks quite long, but it's actually not as long as it looks because there's a massive index in it. and notes. So yeah, I think it's non-fiction. I don't know, just, there's just something looks really fictiony about this, and I thought it was fiction, but yes, I'm looking forward to reading it. I'm really looking forward to reading it. I'm sure it's non-fiction. Anyone that's read this, tell me if it's fiction or non-fiction. Then, the poetry books I mentioned, both by the same author, Michael Pedersen, who I've got Boyfriends and The Cat Prince. And my friend Emma bought me one of these for Christmas or my birthday. I always get confused because they're so close to one another. And then the other one I got sent from the Books in My Bag Readers Awards. So yeah, and I've seen Michael. He was, when I went to see Holly McNish reading at Faversham Book Festival, Michael was her, say warm-up act, but like support act, I guess. And really charming and endearing, and I really enjoyed. And he was reading from The Cat Prince and other poems. So yeah, looking forward to getting to both of these. Although, I've just realised this is poetry. I don't think, oh, this is a memoir. She loves a memoir. So there we go, no poetry in that one. Poetry, no poetry. Then, I think spring might be the time for a little bit of nature reading. So one of the books that was on the Irish Readathon TBR has continued to stay on the TBR, and that's Diary of a Young Naturalist by Dara McNaughty. And this is nature writing from Dara's eyes, who's an autistic teenager coping with the uprooting of home, school and his mental health while pursuing his life as a conservationist, not conversationist, and environmental activist. Shifting from intense darkness to light, recalling his sensory encounters in the wild with blackbirds, whooper swans, red kites, hen harriers, frogs, dandelions, Irish hares and more, McNaughty reveals worlds we have neglected to see in a stunning work of nature writing that is a future classic. So yes, and that's been on my TBR for a long time. Then David read, and this was on the Readers Award last year, The Farmer's Life, My Life in Days, and this is a memoir, another memoir, of Helen's life told through what it's like living on a farm. And it's sort of told, I believe seasonally, but not sort of like, it's not a diary from like, and then it was the 6th of September and this is what I did. So yeah, so I'm looking, oh no, well, I've just seen a chapter that says, oh no, evening it says. And then it's got lots and lots of recipes and stuff like that. So there's like some sort of like food writing in here as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Helen lives in the Lake District. That's somewhere I've been on holiday. I think it will be lovely. Then I've been sent the paperback copy of A Sign of Her Own by Sarah Marsh, which was a book that I got sent the proof copy of. This is now out in paperback. I was very, very delighted because they sent me a bookmark which has my name spelt out in British Sign Language. So very, very excited to read that. And yeah, this is one that I've wanted to read for a really long time. And just haven't got around to it. So I thought, and also sometimes when that happens, it's because it's a hardback and I'm lazy. I can't hold it up in the bath. So she's definitely going to be reading this now. So it says, Ellen Lark is on the verge of marriage when she receives a visit from Alexander Graham Bell. Once she believed she was important to Mr. Bell. Alexander Graham Bell from the telephone, him. As one of his deaf students, she was among the first to learn of his dream to transmit a human voice along a wire, the telephone. Now Mr. Bell's idea is a reality and he is beset by problems. He wants Ellen to use her voice on his behalf. But Ellen has a story of her own, of a man she loved, a language she discovered and a community Bell betrayed. It is a story no one around her wants to hear, but there may never be a more important time for her to tell it. And there we go. Very, very good. Then I've got 4 books which are either just come out or recently come out that I've sort of hauled recently that I've been very much looking forward to. This was also on my Irish Readathon TBR, and this is The Boy from the Sea by Garrett Carr. It's set in 1973 in a close-knit community on Ireland's west coast. A baby is found abandoned on the beach. Named Brendan Bonner by Ambrose, the fisherman who adopts him, the baby will become a source of fascination and hope for a town caught in the storm of a rapidly changing world. Ambrose, a man more comfortable at sea than on land, brings Brendan into his home out of love, but it's a decision that will fracture his family and force him to try to understand himself and those he cares for. Bookended by the arrival and departure of a single mesmerising boy, The Boy from the Sea is an exploration of the ties that make us and bind us as a family and community move irresistibly towards the future. And this came out on the 6th of February, so yeah. I love that front cover with the seagulls and the young lad stood there. Very good. Then I've got these Heavy Black Bones by Rebecca Achieng Ajulu Bushell. It says, in Kenya, the pool was... I've just remembered that this is written by an athlete, and I'm excited as a swimmer. In Kenya, the pool was green and surrounded by concrete so hot it burnt the soles of her small feet. She didn't know any different. A decade later, she would be double British champion and the first black woman ever to swim for Great Britain. But this story is not about making history. As her body and mind are sharpened through grueling training, press scrutiny and the harshness of adolescence, Rebecca questions who she is swimming for and what the outward journey to the Olympics will cost her. A compulsive and unforgettable study of intensity, these heavy black bones meditates on blackness, identity and the ecstasy of peak physical performance. Peak physical performance. In stunning prose, Rebecca charts her career's ascent, her singular love of the water and lays bare the pressures within her swimming world. So yeah, I do like hearing from experts about something that they excel in. So I think that's going to be great. And that, I think that's out already. Then I've got Ask Me How It Works by Deepa Paul, which is out, well, it says March, so hopefully by the time you're watching this, it's out. And this is about a woman who is in a throuple. Here is my husband, here is my boyfriend. Here we are, here I am, go on, ask me how it works. Loving an open marriage, so yes. Excited about that. And then I've got the new Emma Stonex book called The Sunshine Man. This is out on the 1st of May. I read The Lamplighters when it came out and really enjoyed it. So when I heard that Emma had a new book out, I was like, yes, please. This is set in January 1989 and Birdie wakes to the news she's been waiting 18 years to hear. Jimmy Maguire, the man who killed her sister, has been freed from jail. Birdie leaves for London with a gun and a plan to find him and make him pay. But there's another side to the story and she's about to enter a world of family lies, worn out loyalties and long buried betrayals. Did Jimmy kill Birdie's sister, or is he the only one she can really trust? And when the truth is finally revealed, will she choose forgiveness or retribution? A heart-stopping new novel of murky shared past and a fury-fueled present. This is a thrilling cat and mouse chase set against the salt-drenched backdrops of England's south coast. Sounds great, doesn't it? And then the last two are ones that I picked up when I went to the Folkestone bookshop last year, and they keep tempting me from, well, but probably because the front covers are so bloody good as well. They keep tempting me and I haven't got round to reading them, and I think they've both appeared on a TBR before, but here we are. We've got Pizza Girl by Jen Keong Fraser. And this is a moving story about an unforgettable young woman trying to find her place in the world. 18 years old, pregnant and working as a pizza delivery girl, our dysfunctional heroine is deeply lost and in complete denial about it all. Her world is further upended when she becomes obsessed with Jenny, a stay-at-home mum new to the neighbourhood. As one woman looks towards motherhood and the other towards middle age, the relationship between the two begins to blur in strange and ultimately heartbreaking ways. And then we've got Your Driver is Waiting by Priya Guns, and this is about Damani, who is tired. Every day she cares for her mum, drives taxis to pay the bills, and is angry at a world that promised her more before spitting her out. The city is alive with protests, fighting for people like her, but Damani can barely afford, literally, to pay attention. That is until the summer she meets Jolene and life opens up. Jolene seems like she could be the perfect girlfriend, attentive, attractive and ally, and their chemistry is undeniable. Jolene's done the reading, she goes to every protest and has all the right answers. So maybe Damani can look past the one thing that's holding her back. Jolene is rich, and not only rich, but white too. But just as their romance intensifies, just as Damani learns to trust, Jolene does something unforgivable, setting off a truly explosive chain of events. So there we go. That to me feels like a very exciting spring TBR, and I'll have a lovely time picking books from there as we go, leading to May for L.M. Montgomery. I do like the way I make a hash of whatever I'm going to be calling the months, like when I called it Little Wimay. So there we go. Let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know what's on your spring TBR. Would be very interested to hear, and I'll see you all again soon for another book video. Goodbye.